Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Bhaja Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada.
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada ki Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam To Jayamudirahe Prayeshu Abhadreshu Yam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Tir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhakti Bhavishtaki.
I'm reading from the first chapter, Canto 2, first canto, chapter 2, text number 10. No, we finished 10, so we are touching upon 11. One sec, let me just load this. First canto, chapter number 2, text number 11. Vadanti tat tat vidastatam yet jnanam adavyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Okay. Vadanti tat tattva vidas
Vadanti Tattva Vidas
tattam yajnanam abhyayam
Tattam Jnanam Avyam
advayam
Advayam
brahmeti paramatmeti
Brahmeti Parameti
bhagavaniti sabhyate.
Bhagavati Savyate
Vadanti,
Vadanti
they say
they say
tat, that
that
tattvavidaha,
Tattva
the learned souls,
the learned souls
tattvam,
Tattvam
the absolute truth,
the absolute truth
yet,
yet
which,
which
jnanam,
Jnanam
knowledge,
knowledge
advayam,
Adhyam
non-dual,
non-dual
brahma iti,
Brahma iti
known as Brahman,
known as Brahman
Paramatma iti,
Paramatma iti
known as Paramatma,
known as Paramatma
Bhagavan iti,
Bhagavan iti
known as Bhagavan,
known as Bhagavan
Sabhyate,
Sabhyate
so sounded.
it's so sounded.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Learn a transcendentalist who know the absolute truth, call this new and non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. Purport. The absolute truth is both subject and object. There is no qualitative difference there. Therefore, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan are qualitatively one and the same. The same substance is realized as impersonal Brahman by the students of the Upanishad, as localized Paramatma by the Hiranyagarbhas or the yogis, and as Bhagavan by the devotees. In other words, Bhagavan or the personality of Godhead is the last word of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead. As the sun's rays are to be the sun or to the sun god, less intelligent students of either of the above schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization, but those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth known well that the above three features of the one absolute truth are different perspectives, views, seen from different angles of vision. It is explained in the first sloka of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam. The supreme truth is self-sufficient, cognizant, and free from the illusions of relativity. In the relative world, the knower is different from the known, but in the absolute truth, both the knower and the known are the one and the same thing. In the relative world, the knower is the living spirit or the superior energy, whereas the known is inert matter or inferior energy. Therefore, there is a duality of inferior and superior energy, whereas in the absolute realm, both the knower and the known are the same superior energy. There are three kinds of energies, or the supreme energetic. There is no difference between the energy and the energetic, but there is a difference of quality of energies. The absolute realm and the living entities are of the same superior energy, but the material energy is inferior energy. The living being in contact with the inferior energy is illusioned, thinking he belongs to the inferior energy. Therefore, there is a sense of relativity in the material world. In the absolute, there is no such sense of difference between the knower and the known, and therefore everything there is absolute. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tattvagamam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpadarvasya Gopasande Vyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Nama Om Shrimadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane Mukam Karati Vachana Mangalam Vedikam Padamande Shri Guru Nityanam Pramanam Madhava Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, text number 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattva eddajnana adabhyam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabhyate. Learned transcendentalist who know the absolute truth call this new non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Thank you all for joining today on the Sunday morning program. I'm sure most of you or every one of us, at least I am very inspired to be there with all of you. This is Krishna consciousness in its best possible flavor and favor for us. This is what God wants us, Krishna wants us. So if you notice in this particular verse, this is one of the abstract verses because Krishna is trying to say that there is Brahman, there is Paramatman, and there is Bhagavan. So there are three forms. Krishna can be understood in three forms. The only way by which you can understand Krishna is three forms. It's either Brahman, the self-effulgent radiance coming from the Supreme Lord's body, or the Lord who is seated in everyone's localized heart, Paramatma. That's how the yogis or the Hiranyagarbhas understand. And then there is devotees who are all the time meditating on how the personal service or the personal form of the Lord is. Right? We have heard many pastimes in specifically there is Damodar Ashtakam. I just wanted to read this wonderful Damodar Ashtakam prayers wherein this says, one second, let me just take you to this wonderful. This is a beautiful verse which just recognized. Varam deva moksham na moksham vadimva nachanyam vrineham vareshadapiha. Idam teva purnata gopala balam sadame manasavristam kimanye. So the translation is, O Lord, although you are able to give all kind of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest revelation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by even executing the 9 process of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Balagopala and Vrindavana may ever be manifest in my heart. So for what is the use to me of any other boons besides this? See, this is what Krishna consciousness gives us. As we progress in our daily conscious effort of being in Krishna consciousness, attempting to be in Krishna consciousness, it's very, very important and evident that automatically Krishna seated in the heart gives us that intelligence, which is very, very crucial for us to execute, because it's not that easy for anyone to practice Krishna consciousness, nor to practice Krishna consciousness without getting the favor or the mercy of the Lord, right? Krishna has many energies, many agencies. Fundamentally, 3 main energies. Prabhupada explains here, which is the inferior energy, the superior energy, and also the marginal energy, which is most of the time in the inferior energy region and would want to go to the superior energy, but it's only on glimpses it goes. So that is what is called as Antaranga Shakti, Bhairanga Shakti, Tatashta Shakti, means that's which is marginal. So we belong to this marginal energy zone where most of the time we are toggling between the superior and inferior energy. That's why we naturally see a lot of sine waves going through our own practice. Here, this abstract information is actually given to us in a very, very specific fashion. The fashion in which it is trying to give us is that we all have to go through a transformation, means there is a guaranteed definition of change in our life. Change is inevitable. You cannot say no to a change. So when a person who comes or connect with God, right, he can probably come in different forms, because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that there are 4 types of people who come to him, and there are also 4 types of people who can never come and surrender unto him. But here, this understanding of Supreme Lord in these 3 forms can be completely noted only by the devotees, because they see beyond what the screen is being shown. Prabhupada explains here in a very beautiful lecture, stating that there are 4 divisions of life, right? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. The system is basically designed to understand our constitutional position and slowly, gradually help the person to become more detached, right? The Brahmacharya's life is actually sufficiently taught, which is to understand the Brahman concept. At the start of our life, we are expected to know more about the subject matter. Here, the subject and the object is the same. There is no difference. There is no variations. That is why we are qualitatively one with the Lord, but quantitatively we are variant. We are Anus, the Supreme Lord is Vibhu. Means he can't be measured in one single box. So in the same way, here Krishna is trying to explain in the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, he also mentioned in the 18th chapter that Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. So when a Brahmana or a person who tries to understand Brahman, because this is a philosophy, it is not for common people. It is for people who are honestly very serious. They wanted to understand the concepts very, very clearly. It's a very serious business. So why is that Prabhupada is trying to push us to understand the serious business? Is because otherwise, naturally what happens is there is a fade, because we are connected with the material nature for a longer duration. To understand the spiritual realm or understand the spiritual energy is not so easy, because we all come generally to this platform of Krishna consciousness with some understanding of what God consciousness is. Sometimes we feel that the God consciousness is good for us. Sometimes we feel a reject or a deject, so we don't accept it. But however, this package is practically not dependent on any previous experience of our recruiting here, right? It is not that someone has told us that, okay, you need some at least 2-3 years of experience for you to start working or start being a part of Krishna consciousness. We all come with a zero plate. Absolutely, we don't have anything for us. Who knew what this philosophy is, right? 99.99% of all these wonderful devotees, or everyone here, we never ever thought that we will be able to know or digest so much of stronger philosophy in our life. But here, Krishna is giving us in such a sweet and so easy form of practical understanding that we don't even know, but we would have learned a lot of philosophical importance. Like, for example, we say that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. That's the fundamental. Atato Brahma Jignasa. To understand the supreme absolute truth is very important. So you need to inquire, right? Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashna Sevaya. We have many words and many data which actually gives us that we are a quick starter. We are already started the process pretty strong. So what it actually impacts us is that the way in which we start seeing things starts getting impacted. Because all these days we are thinking that I have no responsibility, no ownership to carry. Right? I can do whatever I want. I am not going to report to anyone. But moment you understand that there is a reason why Krishna has put you in this kind of a platform, the reason he wants us to understand it, immediately directly proportional to you, that you are started to report to something or someone. That is how you actually understand the 3 variations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. right? Otherwise, what happens is most of the time we do what we want is right and what we feel is right, and we are in our own comfort zones. Here, Krishna is saying that you can't just simply be in your comfort zone. You have to come out of the comfort zone in order to understand the variances of what you can understand who I am, right? You can be understanding him as a personal form or impersonal form or a Brahman effulgence. But the Purna is called Purna Traya because his personality who is completely on his whole and he is the same as how he wanted us to know him. That's how the devotees understand. Here, Krishna is also giving a very important subject matter. 99.99% of the people, right? Because we are talking about only people, we are not talking about other living entities because we don't know what their concepts are, right? People are engaged 24 hours, night duty, day duty, no rest, working differently all the time, working. For what? For eating, mating, sleeping differently. That's all. Just like how an ass or a donkey works with the washerman so strongly, so heavily, that Krishna is trying to say that's not what you are supposed to understand. You need to understand there is a reason for which you have been put in this human form of life. Nature has given me this option, this chance to become in this own human form of life. So how to go about, how to overwork myself to come out of that comfort zone, right? There is a story of how Indra was in a pig's body and he was stationed here in this planet. Lord Brahma had to come and inform him, Indra, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in the heavenly kingdom. There is no one to rule there. What are you doing here? And then he said, what, Indra? Indra as a pig. He's saying, don't disturb me. I'm very busy with my family. So he's trying to say that he is in his own world. So he's in his comfort zone. But then the Lord Brahma had to say that, what nonsense are you talking? You are supposed to be in the Indra Loka. You are the Lord of gods. And you're supposed to take care of them. And then you have left everything and you're running here between behind many of your so-called family members. So this is what is happening to all of us. We are getting carried away by many things which actually need not. It's we are we are holding a lot of baggage with us. We need to learn the art of disseminating them as we go. Not that we carry a lot of baggage with us all the time, but that is not going to happen overnight. But that will happen as the process has begun. So will the process will take over your activities. So we need to understand this tattva jignasa. Means the concepts in Krishna consciousness needs to be understood very strongly because that's the foundation on which you're building the castle, you're building the temple of life. That's your life. Because generally people don't want to know all these different philosophical understanding or why that I am put in this kind of a miserable condition. Why is it that impacting? No one comes to think about it, right? We have Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika. Three types of kleshas means that we are impacted by the three different variances of how you getting impacted by your own mind, by other living entities, right? Or by the demigods or any superior personalities. Because you are entitled to go through that kind of a punishment or some kind of a purification, you are entitled to go through this. Has ever anyone thought about this? Why is that he is put under death? No one wants to die, but the fact is this, right? Why is everyone being forced to be born? Jata Shiva Dhruva Mrityur. Why is everyone is under some kind of diseased state, right? And why are we becoming old? If you want to become energetic and enthusiastic and youth always, people don't inquire. Why? Because they don't want to see that part of the world. They are just trying to wipe off themselves and then closing it with the parda, like a wheel. So that is not going to help anyone. So Srimad Bhagavatam actually explains that there is one shloka in the 7th canto, which Prahlad Maharaj actually explains. Anda yatendir upaniyamana. So if you get a chance to read this one, 7th canto, 5th chapter, 31st verse, you should say, people are blind and other blind people are also trying to follow them. So all they are trying to say is that we wanted as much as possible followers to practice this. But that's not going to help anyone. The fact of life is that if anyone who is sane, they need to understand that God has given me only this option or opportunity to understand the goal of life. The goal of life should not be changed. The post should not be changed. The goal's focus should not be changed. Moment you try to change it, then we will probably remain like a donkey, very happy, satisfied with whatever is being given to us for eating, sleeping, and mating and defending. This is human. It's not human life. It's more of like a donkey or animalistic life. So here, the concept of Krishna consciousness is actually spreaded across to us in a very favorable condition. How you can become very strong in your practice, how you can actually connect yourself with the Supreme Lord, because otherwise the living being connected with inferior energy, it always tend to get illusioned. Even for that matter, just like how Indra got illusioned, right? It's natural for all of us. As you are connected to, Prabhupada gives an example of a drunkard. If you are with a drunkard, even though you don't drink for some time, someday or the other, that vasana, that kind of reasoning for you to try it out gets associated with you, because you are associated with the person who is a drunkard. In the same way, this inferior energy is so strong and subtle that we don't even know. It will be like in like a pin, out like a plow. We don't even know that you are part of that inferior energy, and you are considering or connecting yourself with that inferior energy in a complex situation. So then how do you overcome this? This is a practice. This is a process. This is what you wanted to connect with, because it's very important science. You need to understand it. No one is going to come and tell. No education institution is available for this. No one is going. Practically speaking, only Krishna conscious movement is actually giving us this gyan. It is trying to prepare us for a future, better life. No other place we have this kind of a data set. No other place where we have been asked to, even among our own family members, right? There are so much variances. Someone who want to understand this philosophy, the other person will say, don't bring that philosophy into my system. Why? Because it's two ways to understand it. One is familiarity breeds contempt, right? You become familiar to that person who wants to introduce you to a higher realm or higher taste of life. So then you will not so easily accept it. Second thing is that why people just want to put a wheel to this is because they are thinking like a rabbit. They're thinking the world is closed because I have closed my eyes. But the truth is not that. Prabhupada explains many places across the Bhagavatam, across the Bhagavad Gita, that every living entity has a free will to execute, to accept the higher taste in life. Param drishtva nivartate. If you are able to accept that truth, then it's extremely, extremely beneficial for you. But however, as day progresses, you may probably end up not accepting the truth. Why? Because you are a rebel to that system. You don't want to go back to that system and then show yourself as a rebel. So that is impacting us very badly because we are not able to understand. Imagine all of us are grihasthas, means people who are staying in the house. If Krishna's call is for us to leave the house and run to the forest or run to the mountains to sit and meditate and do your practices or whatever you've been told, whether you are connecting to the Supreme Brahman effulgence or connecting and sitting like Hiranyagarbhas, like the yogis, to meditate on the Supreme Lord in the heart, or you really want to do some devotional practice. But most of the time, the first set of people come back and fall into this kind of a category. They're good people, but that's not enough. Like, for example, an elephant is a wonderful vegetarian animal. It is huge, it is powerful, but it eats only vegetarian food. But that's not enough. So all these are not enough for us to get to the next level of Krishna consciousness. That's not enough. So what is enough? Nothing is enough. The more we do, the more we are going to gain. Here, the concepts is very clearly placed to us. Three steps to understand God: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Even if you don't understand the Brahman concept, just like it is sun's rays coming from the sun God. So even if you don't understand all these concepts, if you are able to understand the Supreme Lord in complete, which is the Bhagavan feature of the Lord, then automatically your goal, your window to the spiritual realm is naturally being opened. So that is why Prabhupada is trying to emphasize again and again, Tattva Jignasa, understand, create your foundation on this paradigm, strongly build it. If you are being disturbed by a small event in your life, you will have a lot of consequential impact, not just in your life, also in the lives of those who are associated with you, because you are the center of that circle of influence. Because everyone has this influence in hands. We all have some kind of circle of influence, maybe within our family, or maybe within our selected friend set, or maybe with some people who feel that they should hear from another person who has more superior knowledge than the other persons. But however, as day progresses, you need to have this effectively being part of your life. That means that you need to channelize that energy, because we have an energy set which is restricted. We don't have extra energy coming from, we can't carry a extra battery charger, or like a like a box which has a battery charger which you can just plug it into and it gives you charge. So this is what we have in hand. So now is our choice whether we accept it or we don't accept it. If we accept it, it's all good. If you don't accept it, you are probably going to go back to the illusion that you are this body, you are not the spirit soul, and you want to enjoy in this world. Of course, there is happiness. Of course, there is a little bit of enjoyment available for all of us. But that's very minuscule and it's very concise. You can't extend it to the larger extent where your ananda, your happiness is extreme, external, eternally external. It's not that you're going to get stopped with some single little bit of package of happinesses which comes in small packages. So Prabhupada is trying to say is, Krishna is trying to say this. This is what is the instructions which is being discussed in the assembly of devotees, assembly of the sages. They are asking questions and the answers are coming out with Sutta Goswami, and he is presenting it in a very, very favorable way. Try to understand God through these three steps. If you are not even being in the first and two steps, but at least attempt to understand God in his Purna form, the personalized form. This is natural. That's like you're going to, let's say you are in a family here. We are in a family, so there is going to be variances. So the same thing is going to be applied even when you go back to the spiritual realm. Because, like for example, one businessman asked this question, right? What will I do going back to Godhead? There is no value add for me. There is no takeaway for me. What will I do? I am all the time working here. I am trying to make some kind of money or some kind of business deals. So he is applying the same thoughts that even if I go back to Godhead, I will probably have to do some kind of dealing. This is very mean mentality, right? Krishna is trying to say that there is much more importance in your life. We have this 8,400,000 species, right? It is divided into very, very variances. An insect or a cat or a dog or a tree or aquatics or rich man, poor man, diseased person, unaged persons, many, many variances. But however, as day progresses, our body is also getting deteriorated. Not the soul. Soul never gets deteriorated, right? You had a childhood, that's gone. You have a boyhood, that's gone. You have a youthhood, that's gone. You are now in the middle age, that's gone. You are in the old age, that's almost getting over. So now, how will you get time to understand these concepts? When will we be in a position to actually practically start building this foundation so that we can build a temple of hearts? and start understanding that we don't have much time. We are really running short of this time. Time is restricted, constrained. So now is the time. God has given us this option. Just jump into this. Take both hands. Hold it strong. That will give us the clear understanding of what Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining us in this concept, that learned transcendentalist who knows the absolute truth are focused on understanding that the Supreme Lord is the same Brahman and Paramatma too. See, the entire philosophy, we are sitting in our own sofas, understanding it in a very smooth fashion. We can't even understand in a much stronger fashion. This is the best possible option Krishna has given us to understand the philosophy. How many of those kind of people who know these philosophies are ready to accept these philosophies are available in a grahastha form, right? Very few. You can count by fingers, because they are more interested in how to maintain the life, right? But whereas here, the concept of entire highest, this is the highest level of concept of philosophy, tattva jignasa. There are schools created, there are gurukuls created only for people to focus and understand this, right? This is not available outside in the Western world, but in India, there are schools which actually talks about all this, talks about the Vedic aphorisms, Vedic understanding, very, very different variations. Gurukuls are available. Children are taught at the earliest age. Veda Patashalas are very beautifully presented. But now, as day progresses, that boy who is in a Gurukul or a Veda Patashala has to grow up himself. So he has to become a Grihastha. Then he needs to learn the art of becoming a Vanaprastha. And then consider coming to the level of sannyas. So that's the progression of life. So are we all ready for these progression? Honestly speaking, no one is ready, including me. Even unless until someone is completely ready for a complete detachment. It's not. You can't just leave everything and run away. You can't say, I'm going to take sannyas, I'm taking vanaprastha. No, it's not possible. So the only possibility what we have is in the place where we stay or hold ourselves stronger. This is where we need to practice. And the practice is to understand the Supreme Lord in his personal form. The moment we connect ourselves with the Supreme Lord in a personal form, automatically Krishna will reveal himself. And he will make us so comfortable that this place where you live is what Vaikuntha is in totality. You don't need to think about something else as Vaikuntha. Where there are devotees, where there are chanting, where there is all the time discussion about the Supreme Lord's pastimes, is the place called Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane. This is what is important. It is explanations in glorifying the Supreme Lord in his personal abode is the same when you have all these devotees sitting in the same place. Right? This place, what we are discussing, is what is actually discussed even in the spiritual world. They will not be sitting and discussing. Their daily transaction, daily activities is always remembering Krishna and never to forget Krishna. That is what we are attempting to do so. But for that to happen, we need to create a platform, understand the concepts very well, and practice it according to the instructions of the spiritual master and the scriptural injunctions, and then see how we can tweak around to understand it, whether we will be able to implement in a daily routine. That's what is conveyed in this particular shloka. Abstract science, but easily formed and formulated and practiced. I'll stop here. Any questions? Please feel free to ask.
One question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
First of all, thank you very much for explaining this deep philosophical tattva. My question is, where it is said that it is Advayam, non-dual. I mean, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan are qualitatively one and the same. So why is it that those who realizing God, like in Brahma feature or Paramatma feature, the end result is not same. They may come back, right? As you said.
They have to come back.
So
Yes.
if it is a non-dual, then why the end result is not same for all three, for yogis and bhaktas?
Good question. Huh? Because point is that why is it not same? Uh, you sow what you reap, right? If you put one apple seed, you are expecting an apple tree to come. You don't expect a mango tree to come. In the same way, these concepts, it might be concepts. It is a practitioner's liking, right? If someone is liking to connect with the Supreme Brahman, that means he has already made his box. That pencil box is already there for him. He doesn't want to add another box into his box, nor he wants to connect the next two options for him to practice. Like, so let's say I'm a yogi. That means I'm in impersonal Brahman. That means I'm connected to the Paramatma here. So I'm meditating on the Supreme Lord who is seated in the heart. That's what my focus center is. But in the process, there is much more to gain. That's partial present representation of the Supreme Lord. It is not complete representation, right? Brahmeti Paramatmeti, then Bhagavan iti sabhyate. This is the last and complete wholesome itself, right? What does Shri Upanishad say? Om Purna Ada Purna, right? He is complete Purna. So you need to understand, it's your choice. Some people are like, they are not good listeners. They are good speakers, they are not good listeners. Before you start telling them anything, they will interrupt and then say, like that. Whatever they want, they will just blabber. Why? Because they are not ready to listen. So in the same way, the Brahman people or the Paramatma people are not ready to accept that there is higher truth. For a person who is eating non-vegetarian all the time, that is nectar for him. That is why Shastra says one man's poison is another man's ambrosia, right? For a person who is eating non-veg all the time, what is he thinking? Oh my God, I'm going to taste this one, I'm going to taste that one. What? It's all a plain dead body. But for you, it's a dead body because you have got that higher taste, param dushta nivartate. But whereas these people have not come to that level, there are two ways, right? How Dhamma the pastime happened. One is your effort to know what is the truth or complete truth. And the second one is the mercy should also flow from the Supreme Lord to you in order for you to be picked up and put into the next bracket. If you have to be in Brahman to Paramatma, that bucket has to be opened up, right? So then these kind of people, they have very much restricted, constrained, self-centered thoughts. They don't want to accept that there is much higher truths because they are scared of it. It's an unknown region. But whereas as a devotee, we don't care about death. We don't care about birth. We don't care about how we have been maintained. We know that Krishna is going to maintain because he's maintaining the elephant and he's maintaining the ant. He is going to maintain us. We are getting more than 4 times, 5 times food per day. So we don't have to worry. Krishna will protect. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. That is Purna understanding. So obviously the other two people are not come to that level, or they are wanting to come to that level, or they are seeing that that's not their comfort zone. They don't want to go out of that. So because of that, the result is also going to be restricted. It is not that it is going to come in manifolds. It's not like one hat fits all heads. You are customized to be in Bhagavan, so I put one hat called Bhagavan hat. Another one is Brahman hat. Third one is Paramatma hat. So what you get is what you wanted it. So you will not be given. If you go to the shop and ask for, can I have an ice cream? So you will give one ice cream. But for a Bhagavan person, that's the first level. Can I have ice cream? You'll get an ice cream. That is Brahman. So the Paramatma fellow, can I have ice cream? You will say, okay, I have ice cream which has got some flavoring in it, right? So then he will get some flavor. He is not very conscious. He is not into attention to details. The third person who is going is a Bhagavan person. What is it? Can I go have ice cream? That fellow will say, yes, ice cream. Which flavor do you want? Strawberry, vanilla, raspberry, all many flavors. In that, which size you want? Or in that, you want a big size, small size, cone size, or a box size, or a tub size? So he gives that option. Further to that, do you want something which is very new, or just come out of the fridge, or it is something little older? Or do you want a discounted package? See how many options are being given you for you in Bhagwan options, right? For you to choose. But whereas for those two people, only restricted. You take what you've been asked for. That's all. Take it and go. That is what Krishna wants to present it to us. That connect with me. When Krishna says, Eyatamam prapadante tam staiva bhajamiham, means he is expecting us to start the first step. So then automatically the entire options, discounts, packages, everything is revealed to you. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, two questions. One is slightly related to the same question what Rajesh Prabhu mentioned. Are we following all three of them? And another question is chanting comes under the yoga, what Iranya Garbhas or the yogis do?
Yeah. First question is, are we?
Following all three, like Brahman,
We
Paraman.
don't follow all three. We are following the last one, the Bhagavan feature. In that Bhagavan feature, Paramatma also is there, Brahman also is there. So why should we follow 1 and 2 when you have got all the three in one single shot? That's smartness, right? So that's why we are following the Bhagavan feature.
So anyway, those two are anyway included.
Yes, it's in the package. So you don't have to do something separately for that. That I will meditate on the bright light. Probably you will end up seeing some floodlight or something in your Majeski Stadium. That's all. You can't see anything further than that. Because anyone who is in the Brahman effulgence cannot stay in that effulgence for long. How can you stay in a bright light for longer duration? You will get bored of. If I put you in a stadium fully, you're the only person, let's say, and then it's completely floodlighted, right? How long will you stay in that place without any interactions with the external world? So the Brahmans have to come out, and then they will connect once again with the Paramatma level to see what I can or what they can improve upon. And that's also very restricted. But when you have a personal feature of the Lord, then you have many interactions. Like I gave the example of an ice cream available in a shop where you can go and buy, you've gone given many packages. So that's the way we understand. So it's all available in the last one. That's the first question. The second question for you is,
where chanting comes into the picture.
Yes, chanting is what is connected in Bhakti Yoga. Chanting is the last step of the first and the last step for you to go back to Krishna. You need to connect with that. Of all the yogis, I am to be known, right? Who is the best of yogis? Bhakti yogis. That is why Prabhupada emphasizes on Bhakti Yoga, not Jnana. And if you notice, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7, we are not gone to the 7th level, but it is completely sandwiched. 0 to 6, sorry, 1 to 6 is one segment, right? 7 to 12 is the second segment. Third is the final segment. So Bhakti Yoga concepts are pushed into the middle segment. Why? Because it's a sandwich. You need to understand the concepts very clearly. Then automatically you will be able to take it up in a very positive frame. Then you know how I can progress myself understanding the concepts of Bhakti Yoga. Is that okay? Yes, someone is asking a question, Prabhu. Because I can't.
Yes, we've got a question in the chat. This is from Satish. Hi, Prabhuji. One question. Reaching God is the ultimate aim. I do understand we need to best what we can in our current position, job, studies, personal life, and with spiritual progress. When we know we should push ourselves further as we are not the doer. Yeah,
we need to push ourselves. Otherwise, how will you manage? Every living entity is supposed to do something or the other all the time. It can never be idle. It is all the time active. And filling up your timesheet, index all these things. Looking for a job, working on your platform, when going to the office, going to the school. You're filling a timesheet every day, day in and day out. You're filling your timesheet. But if you don't do that, then how will you manage and sustain your body and soul together? But we are talking about the concept of spirituality because you need to be in a very sane platform. If you are not in that same platform, we will definitely get naturally carried away by the inferior energy, and we think that we are this body. That's not the goal of life. Goal of life is to understand that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul, and we don't belong to this realm. But unless until we come to that constant thoughts and progress, that is why we are here to purify ourselves. We need to purify ourselves in being in this platform called Krishna Consciousness. The moment we purify ourselves, then automatically we know that whatever activity which I am doing is not for myself, but for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Then all other things like filling your timesheet doesn't actually exist, right? Your manager may not fill timesheet, or your CEO will not fill a timesheet, but you are entitled to fill the timesheet. Why? Because he is dictating on you. You are not dictating on him. So Krishna is giving us this option for the devotees that if you want to fill the timesheet, be associated with the inferior energy. But if you don't want to fill your timesheet, be with the devotees. Be in my realm. Be in the personal feature. That is where the key factor of success is. The more we are connected with the Supreme Lord in our activities, in our forms, in our thoughts, in our handling situations, keeping the faith that Krishna will always protect us, Krishna will always take care of us, because the fundamental of any living is trust and faith. If you don't have the trust and faith, how do you expect yourself to be in this world? We are sitting here, I'm sitting here in this chair thinking that this place will not pay away. What's the guarantee? So I have assumed that it's an assumption that we are all sitting here, we are watching each other, then everything is going to go good. But anything can happen, right? Next moment, I may not be there in this planet, in this body. I may move out of this body because it's not in my hands. Every step is in danger. Padam padam yat padam natesham. So I may leave this body. Next moment, I may be talking to you. I may just stop talking, right? Do I have control of that? No. Do I have control of how I can look into my spiritual life? Yes, because that's a free will. I choose. Prabhupada says for every material problems, there is only solutions which is coming through the spiritual way. You can never have a material solution. But whereas there is a statement where it is said that you have a chance to become more stronger spiritually. If you are spiritually strong, your material life is just simply taken care. But if you are materially strong, you may never get spiritual life. Because Janma Aishwarya Shutashribihi, all the four are impediments to you to practice spiritual practice. Don't become ritualistic, but become spiritualist. One who understands the Supreme Lord in complete. Hope that answers.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanavad pranam.
Yes, Prabhuji, Dhanavad pranams.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Sir,
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
just wanted to extend what Rajesh Prabhu and Sharvan and Prabhu were asking. Can you give us the examples of the society or the organizations which are following these so that we'll be careful in our practice when we interact with them? Like, for example, who are the organizations following Brahmeti concept, meditating on the life, on the light, and who are those following and Paramatmeti?
There are many organizations in the world. They all have their own focus centers, right? For example, I don't know whether you have heard of the Brahma Kumaris. So Brahma Kumaris connect on the Brahmans. They are looking at the self-effulgent radiations coming from the Supreme Lord. Of course, it is to connect with Krishna. They are also good people, but that's not enough. What I'm trying to convey here is that that's not enough. You cannot say that for a child, you give a toy, right? You give a toy to a child is very happy. But if I give a toy to an adult, will the adult be happy? No, it can't be, because he has acquired higher taste. So you need to be in that kind of a paradigm. You should be in that platform to relish, understand, appreciate. If someone is working hard in the morning to night, right? You give him something to eat and a nice bed to sleep, he is satisfied, right? He doesn't want anything more. But if someone is not in that kind of a platform, tries to understand, is this my life? Do I need to improve upon my life to see what else is available? Then that's a better option than the first option. So there are organizations of this sort, like Brahma Kumaris, they are focused on the Brahman concepts. There are many other ashrams which is talking about the yogis or the Hiranyagarbhas, like the Shivananda ashrams in Rishikesh, in the Himalayas, or any of the Patanjalis or the, what is the Adi Yogi's place, Sadguru. He is also into meditations and all these things. There are many people who are into this. So these are the people who may not know or who may know, but still have chosen that path. Right? But what we are trying to do, it's not just ISKCON. See, chanting holy name of the Lord is not a copyright of any particular subject organization. You cannot say Hare Krishna is only for Hare Krishna ISKCON people. It is incorrect. The copyright of Hare Krishna is Krishna's copyright, not your copyright or ISKCON's copyright. You got it? So then in order to understand the subject matter, you need a platform where you can practice. When you have that platform, automatically you know that I have got a platform to practice, and that is where it will help me to progress. So we are pretty loyal to the practice or to the practitioner. So would that answer you?
Yes, Prabhu. And the Sankaracharya philosophers, they fall into Paramatma concept.
They don't fall into both. They are into Mayavadas.
Okay, so can you please explain a little more, Prabhu? Like how is Mayavad is different, or like how?
They have a different formulation called the Panchopasana worship. Panchopasana worship is explained in the Bhagavatam and in Bhagavad Gita also. That they consider that the Supreme Lord Vishnu is one among the other trinities. That is the consideration of mother, material nature, that is Durga, then Ganesha, then all these are a part of their natural worship base. So, but for them, the personal feature has not ever connected. They are looking at some kind of a karma kanda actions. Even though they are good people, but that's not enough for us to connect with them. So the way in which it works is that there is a high level of disconnect in terms of understanding their spiritual longing, do devotional service. Take everything as a part of just for the sake or for their own selfish or focused motives. But you need to be elaborated yourself. If you see Panchopasana, I'm just going to type in there. This is what it just gives me a direct understanding of what it is. I'm just typing this. This is what is called a Smartha tradition. That is the fourth mainstream of Hindu communities which practices this. They worship the 5 major deities of Lord Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesha, Surya, and Durga or Parvati. This was introduced by Shankara himself. These are fundamentally the systems of practice which is noted for them to identify themselves as smartas. But smartas, according to teachings of Lord Chaitanya, is one of the upper sampradayas. There is a book called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So where actually this is a description of Lord Chaitanya's discussion. It's an interactive discussion between him and Sanatan Goswami, or rather Rupa Goswami, right, in Prayagraj. So there he explains all these things, which are the sampradayas, which are the upper sampradayas, which are the ones. But we don't have to go into the deeps and talk about this subject matter. But we'll only respect and appreciate everyone. But we will follow what is being told to us by Srila Prabhupada. Because when you go into deeper things, you will actually end up taking out many muds which will come, and it becomes a mudslinging practice. Oh, you are correct, I am wrong, I am correct, you are wrong, and they are not correct, they are not good followers. Respect everyone, keep them at bay. Follow what is being told to you. That will help you progress in your spiritual path. Further to that, if you still wanted to understand how the Mayavada philosophy works, let's take it offline. I will explain it to you in detail.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Vishal Prabhu, we have one more question in the chat, if that's okay, from Umika Mataji.
Yes, please. Only one question, then we'll have to stop. I have some other completions to complete. Or any other one has any other question, can I?
Yes, Prabhu, this is the last one. So, Hare Krishna, Vishal Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhu, when someone does or says something which upsets us or makes one feel hurt, how do we transform these challenging, low energy feelings to always stay blissful, unaffected in mind and heart, and happy in Krishna consciousness, to maintain being a carrier of love and light in Krishna consciousness for oneself and others?
Good question. This is a very practical question. Why do we get affected? Does anyone has any some answers? If I talk, I will talk. I will keep on talking and I'll give my ideas, which is what I would want to, but definitely I would want to hear from others. What would they do if this kind of situation occurs to them, so that we all get some practical dialogue here.
Refer to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu, like where Krishna says happiness and distress should be like summer and winter, comes and goes. So, and accept that, okay, these are ups and downs coming and going.
That's one thing. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkadaha, correct? Because we are thinking from our material body and experiences.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble blessings.
Oh, Hare Krishna. All goes to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. So I think it's a combination of things, but it's mainly our ego and our understanding sometimes is not our consciousness is not so strong in Krishna consciousness that we feel hurt by what somebody else said. It's kind of a natural reaction because it's difficult to become very, very we practice, but it's really difficult to become a pure devotee or even a devotee of the Lord who understands things very clearly and so can ignore these sort of things. So it's about our ego and our tolerance, and then finally our humility, I think, in how we respond, how we accept things.
Yes, all this clubbed together, we can actually finalize to one statement, right? It is expectations. If your expectations are more than what you are expecting, then you are going to get hurt. If your expectation is not what you actually are expecting, that's a bonus, right? Why will I get upset with someone else? Because their expectation on me was something high. They had set a standards on me, so I could not reach up to that standard, so they are upset with me. But why are we getting upset with them? Or maybe they have thrown some tantrums and abuse and all that, and we get upset because of that. Is because that we are not accepting that the reality or the truth. The truth is that no one in this world has come together as two individuals together. We have come alone to this world. We are exiting out of this world alone. But why create a ruckus when you are in center with many people? Because living entities have naturally got this inclination to put an abuse on others. They are always envious of the other entities. Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika. So obviously that means that impact, as Prabhu said, that it is not a good amount of tolerance capacity, or we have our ego. Someone said ego. So it's all these things are what do you call as sub attributes. But the fact is, if someone is not ready and you are throwing some tantrums, you are getting upset, means you had some expectations on them, and that's not matching what your expectations are. So then obviously all this is going to come in full stream. That is why we need to be very conscious and very careful to keep any expectations on anyone. It can be your parents, it can be your friend, you can be your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, anyone. Relationships are made with set expectations and standards. Only then we will be able to practice our practice of Krishna consciousness and allow others to also be a part of our journey. Otherwise, naturally, what will happen is there will be conflicts. So then you need another practice and process and procedures to get that conflict resolution in place. Is that making sense to everyone?
Yes,
Right?
Prabhu.
So
Yeah.
Perfect sense, Prabhu.
yeah, because
Can I?
I can't hear your voice very clearly. It is disturbed.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me now?
Yes, fair enough.
Okay. Sorry, Prabhuji. It's I was just thinking that one of the class we were discussing about this, and the senior devotee mentioned that we all have Krishna in our heart. So whenever somebody tries to upset you, see the Krishna in that person's heart is trying to teach you something. So try and understand that. Pray to Krishna to help you to understand what that Krishna wants you to learn and change yourself, because we can't change other people. So if, like, I'm trying to follow that and it is helping me. So I was just saying that one of the things, if we change our attitude and to approach towards other people's reaction, I think it does help.
Yes. Yeah, it is very important. Yeah, this is a good option also to learn that Krishna is putting in every situation in our life to get us to get purified and to learn something out of it. But eventually, setting our expectations are the ones which is going to help us. If you don't set an expectation for everything, right? Everything. If I go to a railway station and my expectation is I'm going to go into the train where it is going to take me to, say, Bombay, right? But if it's not taking me to Bombay and if it's going to Delhi instead, that means my expectations on that particular train is wrong. So if you know it very clearly in advance, or even at that given instance of time, that if you know that setting expectations, don't keep your expectations too high. Keep it at a very, very minimal level. Then this question of upset doesn't come into your dictionary at all. So naturally, what will happen? Okay, whatever is Krishna is saying, what they call in English is happy go, happy go as you go, or happy go free, or something like that.
Happy go lucky.
Happy go lucky. That's what I'm trying to say. That that kind of an attitude is too loose in its sense. It is not complete. You can't be so loose. You need to take some ownership, some responsibility also. But in the progressive path, you also need to clearly demarcate setting expectations. So then if you keep that in place, then automatically all the other sub attributes will help you. Like making sure that your ego is not kicking you in between, as Nilambar Prabhu said, or learn the art of being little tolerant, or as you said, that Krishna is in the heart of everyone, so he wants us to learn something. These are sub attributes, but setting expectations are very, very crucial for us to understand it. Why? Because naturally this will impact us. So answer comes at, is it worthy to set expectations or not worthy to set expectations? Is it good for us to keep some kind of an expectations or not to keep any expectations? Shastras explain only two things. When I say Shastras, it's explained in Bhagavatam. You can actually touch upon. Prabhupada has completed ABC to XYZ. So everything is available in Prabhupada's book. So you don't have to go and search for where it's quoted or where it's mentioned. So it's all available in Prabhupada's book. So is it good to keep the expectations? Answer is 0. No, you should not be keeping any expectations on anyone. Your only expectation is to serve the Supreme Lord and your spiritual master. Why? Because we have taken up a higher taste in life, right? So our expectations should come only from the spiritual master. How I can serve the spiritual master? If someone upsets you, automatically turn back and then see the Supreme Lord, see the spiritual master and say, Oh Lord, kindly transform my heart. I seem to be getting disturbed with some things which are very minuscule in its life. And I am not here for pleasing anyone here. I am pleasing you and the spiritual master. Then automatically everything will reveal itself. This situation will come. Prabhupada gives the example again of a dog barking on a passing caravan, right? As the dog barks, will the caravan stop? It still keeps going. So in the same way, this situation will come and showcase just like a glimpse. After next moment, it will run away. That glimpse of that situation will never occur. It will go off. So then why worry or why bother about someone is upsetting you or not? But it's the spur of the moment. That is what is impacting us in a longer manner. That means we are not ready to accept the Lord's dictation to us that become conscious about me, always remember me, surrender unto me, serve me, pay your obeisance unto me. Then all these things will not happen. You know, you have your see, you have to practice bhakti yoga with a mentality of a fundamentalist or a mentality of a terrorist. Akama sarvakama mokshakama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. You should be like a super focused. Because I don't belong to this world. I came to this world alone. I'm going out of this world alone. So what am I doing here with all these different people, living entities? Because Krishna has put us, because we chose to come here and we are in this kind of a situation which we have created. So now we have the choice to overcome this by practicing Krishna consciousness and not filling up our time sheet. So then automatically everything will fall in place. It's a natural process. It will not happen overnight, but it will take it. As day progresses, you become more and more conscious about what you're doing. Then all these things will not come into picture. You will not get disturbed. It's impossible. I'll tell you my own story, right? Maybe 25 years back or maybe 30 years back, I was super charged. My anger and temperament was always in my nose tip. If someone does something wrong, I was like looking for perfectionist in the wrong place. If I notice that there is something wrong, I will not wait till later on period. I will immediately tell you what you're doing is wrong. But then I started noticing internally, am I Mr. Perfect? First of all, in my own world. If I'm not, then how I got the courage or capacity to go and tell someone else that they are wrong? So then automatically I realized that my expectations on everyone is going higher than what I'm supposed to keep. So keep the bar at low, then that will not impact at all. The bar is never going beyond zero. That's what the bar is. So then automatically everything will be neat and smooth. Then naturally we'll be able to learn the art of compassionate feeling on others, that they are not able to take up Krishna consciousness, but me taking up Krishna consciousness, getting disturbed. Learn this formula. His Holiness Jayapatak Maharaj used to say in this classes most of the time, and he used to mention in one of the classes saying, when you are with the devotees, it's all great. Even among devotees, there is always impact and impediments because there is interaction between two living entities. It is bound to be. If you can't make anyone a friend, but don't make them as an enemy. So learn the art of being in a place where you can make devotees and make people as your friends, but don't make them as a part of your enemy baggage. That's what I could say. Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji.
There are currently we are in seventh Manvantara.
Seventh Manvantara. Okay.
And all the incarnation happens in same Manvantara or different?
Are we in seventh Manvantara or 14th Manvantara? Which Manvantara are we in?
We are in 7th out of 14.
Okay. What is the Manvantara which point of time we are in?
That's I don't know.
Vaivasvata Manu.
Vaivasvata Manu, yeah. The son of Vivaswan.
Not son of Vivaswan. Vaivasvata Manu is someone else.
Okay.
Okay, so what's your question?
All the incarnation of Krishna and Sri Ramchandra happens in same Manvantara?
Need not. Every manvantara, the Lord comes in his own form, in his own jurisdiction. It's his choice. Like, for example, Lord Chaitanya decided to come this particular form as Lord Chaitanya himself after the Lord. That is already mentioned in the Bhagavatam and in Bhagavad Gita also, right? Just like how Brahma's age is decided, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, that Brahmana Viduratri Yuga Sahasrantam, Teho Ratra Vidojanaha, like that. There is a specific period at which the Lord comes as Lord himself, and after the Lord Sri Krishna comes, Lord Chaitanya comes. But again, if Lord Chaitanya need not come every time when Krishna comes. So in the same way, these forms and these different incarnations are maybe Guna Avataras, Leela Avataras, or Swayam Avataras. It all depends on the Lord's decision. Like, for example, in one of the Manvantras, Lord Narasimha did not come as Lord Narasimha whom we know. Right? How do we know? He comes as half man, half lion. Right? I'm giving an example of one particular incarnation. So the Lord came as Narasimha, right? Half man, half lion in this incarnation, in this particular Manvantara. In some other Manvantara, the Lord never came, but Narasimha pastime still continues to have. So he came flying.
Okay.
He came in the form of a flying Narasimha. That form of Narasimha is even now very prominent and popular in Karnataka. The form is called Ganda Berunda. So you can search for the word Ganda Berunda. Too much for asking. So, but anyway, this is how the Lord gets connected with different forms. Like Guru Maharaj gave this lecture in Bangalore one time in 1995 or 96. How the Lord decided to kill Hiranyakashipu, because these are eternal pastimes. Every day, every moment, there is some Ramayana happening, some Mahabharata happening, some someone is reading Bhagavatam also in some other planet. In our planet, it is only 18,000 verses, of which 14,000 in paper. But you never know. There might be maybe in some other Brahma's planet, maybe 25,000 verses or 2 lakh verses. Can be anything. So we cannot say and restrict ourselves to say that all incarnations only happen at this particular mantra. It's completely in the Lord's hands. It's pure free will of the Lord. He is Atma Ramasya Muniyo. He is completely self-satisfied and he is not going to be told by someone else. It is extremely his decision. Rajesh Prabhu, do you want to add something to this?
No. What I know is what you said, that it Lord's free will. It is not that he has to come on a particular schedule only.
Yeah.
Because in that case, he's under some restriction, which is not possible.
That's not possible. Yeah. But yes, most times, unless until there is a mega disturbance in the entire society, the Lord follows a specific formulations. He will not change the schedules, or he will not do any disturbance to the schedule. It's like preset. But that doesn't mean that there is emergencies in emergencies. So it's not that emergency becomes a daily routine. So Krishna knows, Krishna chooses what he wants and what he wants to feel, like how he sent Srila Prabhupada, right? Then when this was discussing, Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada actually told Srila Prabhupada in one of the books written by Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada's one final disciple, I forgot his name. It's in the end of the term. He had said that he saw the moon planet, and say this is extremely degraded. What we see as moon now, right? So he saw that planet and said that's extremely degraded. I think I need to go there. So it can be. So it might be that it's the free will of the pure devotee that he wants to change. So if he has to go there, that means he is going to invoke the Lord's presence there also. So it may not be in the scheduled presentation during this particular manvantara. It can be in any manvantras. It can be in any period of time. this Krishna consciousness is extremely dynamic. It's not static. It is very vibrant in its nature. It keeps on changing. It brings you the best in you. That's how we understand. I understand it that way. Is okay?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu's. Hare Krishna. Okay, then I think we are okay to stop here. Is that okay, Pratama and Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you again for a wonderful class.
Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad
Jai.
Bhagavatam Mahaprana ki jai.
Jai.
So please keep yourself strong and healthy and be in Krishna consciousness. Don't think you are alone in this world. Don't think you are alone practitioner. There is a marathon team of devotees who are ready to help you at any given point of time. Do not wait. Please raise your flags up. If you have any concerns and practice issues, there are devotees who can help you. They are always there. Feel free to connect with us. The idea behind all these platforms of Bhagavatam in platform of Mangalarti on Sundays is to be stronger in our practice, right? It is not just that, unless until a platform is given, how will we be strong enough? So we need this strong enough platform for us, and please reach us if it's needed. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Bhagavatam
Hare
ki jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
His
Krishna.
Grace
Thank you,
Vishal
Prabhu.
Gauranga Prabhu ki jai.
Jai. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.